live. We're live. And it's Sunday, April 28th, 2024. The final Sunday of the first third of 2024. Can you believe that? We're already almost a third of the way through the year. And you know what that means. The summer movie season is almost here. That's right. It kicks off in just a few days with The Fall Guy, some other major theatrical releases, some at-home releases as well. Send in your questions and your comments. We will talk about the summer movie season a lot here on this episode of LCJ Live, as well as this week across social media platforms and more. You know what I've got here with me? A tennis ball, because your number one movie in America is Challengers. We're going to get into the box office first before we look ahead to the summer movie season. Challengers wins the weekend easily with $15 million. That's about what everybody expected. I didn't see single digits for this. It was at least going to get $10 million or more, and it got to $15 million. I saw this the other day. Not a fan of Challengers. I've explained why in a Twitter X post that has gotten a reach of about 3 million. And basically, here's why Challengers does not work. Number one, it is the tennis. Yes, I've been playing tennis for more than 17 years. It's a fast-paced game. I play it with a fast pace. And all the slow motion. It's just ridiculous. There's so many aspects of the story that are dumb. The character motivations are dumb. The performances are kind of embarrassing. It is a script that's wackadoo. It bounces around so much. It tries to suck us into this story, this soap opera, with these one-dimensional characters who feel they're self-important. That's the only thing that this movie, if I were to say, what's the one positive out of Challengers? Because I have seen worse movies this year, but it is one of the worst films of the year. What is the one positive I can say about Challengers? Is that you do see, for 2 hours and 11 minutes, 3 people who really think they are self-important. They are self-obsessed. But that doesn't mean we can care about these characters or want to be with them for 2 hours and 11 minutes. There's no reason to do that. Yeah, it's a mess. It is a mess. I explain even more on the latest episode of the Too Fast, Too Films podcast with Mike Sargent. I review that. He reviews Boy Kills World. That will be up soon at toofast2films.com. How about every moment when a character gets angry in Challengers, all they do is smash a racket? It happens like 8 times. I'm angry. You just smash a racket. Come on. Really? How about all the points in the game, in the games in the movie, go on way too long? And then you have all these scenes where all these characters are bobbing their head back and forth, and Zendaya's just looking straight ahead. I mean, come on. You know how goofy that looks? Not to mention the windstorm in New Rochelle, which is the worst windstorm of all time. And the characters are kind of oblivious to it. If that windstorm was happening in real life, they would have canceled the match the next day because they would have needed more time to recover. And it would make headline national news, international news. That was the worst windstorm in history, and these characters are just walking and talking and being in a car. Ridiculous! How do you take it seriously? You can't. You can't. Post Shauna. When one of your reviews goes viral like Challengers and you get a lot of hate for it, how do you deal with that? Seems tough. Well, you know what? You just go on. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's the beauty about art and criticism and film criticism. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of people posting like, oh, I played tennis. Okay, fine. That's your opinion. That's fine. This is my opinion on Challengers. It is a terrible movie, and I am okay with getting it out there. Plain and simple. $15 million for Challengers is okay. It's better than single digits. I think Amazon MGM feared it would only get single digits. So it got $15 million. Now, I don't know if it's going to have legs to go 2, 3, 4 weeks of small drops. You know, could it do another 12 million or 10 million next weekend? I'm not sure about that. History will absolve you, LCJ. I think Challengers, look, it was a movie that was supposed to come out in September. Remember? It was supposed to come out in September. Kind of 2 dead periods for the year. Early September, and then the end of April. And I kind of wondered, okay, is this because of the strikes or is it because it's a terrible film? And in the end, I think it's because it's a terrible film. They're 2 of the worst periods, like Labor Day weekend and the end of April. Also, January is a bad time. You know, August can be a bad time. You get gems here and there. Somebody yesterday on social media was like, "Oh, you hate movies." No, I don't hate movies. Yeah, I hate the fact that there's like 4 or 5 films out in theaters right now that I don't particularly care for, but there's a lot of good films out as well. You just gotta find them. Sometimes the indie gems are better than the big studio releases. Yeah, Civil War is not a good film. Challengers is not a good film. Godzilla x Kong is disappointing. Unsung Hero, which we'll talk about in a minute, is not a good film. Ghostbusters was disappointing, but there are good films in theaters. There are good films on streaming services. Dune Part 2 is excellent. Spy X Family Code White is very entertaining. You have to give it a chance. Kung Fu Panda 4 is good. It's not going to match the original, but it's all right for families. The Steve Martin Part 1 documentary that's on Apple is excellent. The Bon Jovi 4-part documentary on Hulu is fantastic. Jean du Barry, which opens this week with Johnny Depp, new French film, is terrific. It's one of the best movies I have seen this year. And Mars Express, which opens this week, is unique and sophisticated science fiction animation for adults. Give it a chance. So sometimes you just gotta find them, and that's one of the beauties of film criticism as well, is not just, oh, we can blast movies. No, it's also to recommend movies to people, to seek out the hidden gems, the films we want to show audiences that there is more out there than just the film playing in 4,000 theaters. Smashing a Ragged Luke's kind of fun. Your favorite real-life tennis pros. I stood next to one of the Williams sisters. I was like 5 or 6 years old. There was an event. We were walking. I think it was Venus. We were walking back from an event. I remember that. And I happened to be pretty close to her. I watch tennis occasionally. Not all the time. I like playing it more than watching it. And you got to get the tennis scenes right in a movie. King Richard had excellent tennis scenes. They knew tennis, the makers of King Richard. Battle of the Sexes, as I said last week here on LCJ Live, the angles were too far away, the shots were too far away. King Richard, we were immersive. That's how you show tennis in a movie. Challengers is not how you show tennis in a movie. Will you be seeing The Beast? Is that a new movie coming out? I haven't heard about The Beast, says Robbie. The Golden Oreos, are you going to see The People's Joker? I've heard about The People's Joker. And Robbie would love to hear your take. LCJ loves movies. His viewpoint is needed. I retweet that, says Poshana. Thank you so much. Yes, the beauty of sharing opinions on movies. Like Unsung Hero, which is your number 2 movie in America with 7.8 million. It almost came in 4th this weekend. It ended up being very close. Listen, when a faith-based movie is good, it is good. You talk about a movie like Jesus Revolution from last year, Powerhouse. Ordinary Angels earlier this year was good. I didn't love it, but strong performances, especially Alan Ritchson alongside Hilary Swank. But when it's sappy and forceful and slow and tries to make you cry desperately, that's Unsung Hero. And one of the big disappointments for me this year, because I thought there was going to be something to it, and there's not. The fans went out to see this, of the band and the family. 7.8 million. Not a stellar start. A little better than Ordinary Angels, which opened to 6.1 million for Lionsgate in February. A little better than that, but not by a lot. Jesus Revolution last year, you had Kelsey Grammer, and you had a really compelling movie. Opened to more than 15 million, did 52 for Lionsgate. So they're trying with these faith-based movies this year. So far, neither Ordinary Angels or Unsung Hero has done exceptionally well. Ordinary Angels, by far, the better movie of the two. In 3rd this weekend is Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire, which added 7.2 million. This is still making money. It's at 181.7. Will it try to get to 200? Maybe. Maybe Warner Brothers will try to get this to 200 million domestically. I think when you look at drive-ins that are opening up for the summer, this is a huge drive-in movie because you got these gigantic characters. So people going to see this. Also Ghostbusters, Panda, for the next couple weeks until we get legitimate family fare in If and Garfield. You're going to have Ghostbusters and Godzilla play in drive-ins, and that's going to give them, and Panda, more cash. 4th place goes to Civil War, which added 7 million. Not bad in terms of a drop from last weekend. I think it was 11 million down to 7. Not bad. It's at 56.2. I initially predicted this was going to open to 20 million and total 55. It opened to 25 and change and is now already at 56. And it could make a run at $70 million for A24. The biggest movie for the studio ever, Everything Everywhere All at Once, which made more than $77 million. I don't think Civil War is going to get to 77 million, but it is already the second highest grossing movie ever for A24 and will stay there. But it's definitely passing 60 million, which I didn't think was going to happen, and could make a run at 70. Number 5 this weekend is Abigail, which dropped about 50%, 5.3 million. It's at 18.8 for Universal, a studio that outside of Kung Fu Panda 4 is struggling this year. They need The Fall Guy to be a big hit. It opens this week. We'll talk about that in a minute. Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, also from Lionsgate, 3.9 million this weekend. It's at 15.5. Not a gigantic hit for the studio or for Guy Ritchie. In 7th, Kung Fu Panda 4 made another 3.6 million. Families still need content for a couple more weeks. It's at 185. It's going to pass Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which made 185.5. I don't think DreamWorks saw this coming. I don't think Universal saw this coming. But Kung Fu Panda 4 is going to make more money than Puss in Boots, and I think it will get past $190 million domestically. The first Kung Fu Panda made 215. The second made 165. The third made 143. So to come close to the first is pretty good. Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire added 3.3 million. It's at 107.4. Here's the thing about Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. This is a movie that a couple weeks ago I said, oh, Sony's not going to make another one. Hey, it had a strong open, which it did. It fell pretty hard the next 2 weekends. But now I look at this and I go 107.4. It's going to pass 110. The last one did 129. That's not a gigantic drop. It could make a run at 112, 115. Is that enough for Sony to say, hey, if we can guarantee at least another 100 million out of this franchise, let's do another in about 2.5 years? We could see another Ghostbusters movie. I kind of decided, I think maybe it's over. I don't think it's over yet for this Ghostbusters franchise. Got a comment here from Robbie. What do you think explains the overwhelmingly positive critical response to Challengers? What do people see in that movie, in your opinion? I would say it's people who love soap operas, and even with flim-flam dialogue and situations, you get emotionally invested in it. People who think that the score, the techno score from Reznor Ross, is exciting and invigorating. No, I mean, I wanted to dance to the music, but I could care less what was going on the screen. I mean, it was like, it had no business, this movie, having that kind of a score. Yeah, so I think it's just people investing themselves in that, wanting to see. Also, here's another problem with Challengers. I could talk about this movie for another hour. Here's another problem with it. They're supposed to be 31 and then flashback to 18. That's always, when you do that 13 years and you have the same people play the same characters, same people, that sometimes is not believable, and I couldn't get there. 31, 18, in between, no, I couldn't fully get there with that. Do you like any other Reznor Ross soundtracks? They've had some good scores over the years, sure. Soul and some of their scores for other live-action motion pictures. I know I'm missing something. Reznor Ross scores, but Soul comes to mind, right? Because that was the Academy Award winner. Social Network. Social Network's a film that I have appreciated more as the years have gone on. Mank is a good film. A lot of collaborations, right, with David Fincher, a Girl with the Dragon Tattoo as well. Yeah, so this not. I mean, if this ends up on best score lists for the year, oh my gosh. Zendaya. Zendaya gives a better performance in Dune Part 2 than she does in Challengers. 100%. Dune Part 2 is the best performance of her career. It is not Challengers. Oh yeah, Mutant Mayhem. That's right. They did Mutant Mayhem last summer, which was also a little avant-garde, right? And kind of rock starry a little bit there. I want to get to the rest of the top 10. Number 9, Dune Part 2 added $2 million. It's at 279.7. And rounding out your top 10 this weekend is Boy Kills World, which opened to 1.7 million. Just outside the top 10 is the re-release of Alien, which opened to 1.6 million. The Mummy re-release made $1 million. As I wrote the other day, look, these re-releases are doing well. When you look at 2.6 million combined for The Mummy and Alien this weekend, the Shrek 2 re-release at about 3.5 million. The Spider-Man movie's doing really well on Mondays. The theatrical experience is still king. I have a poll series going on right now on my Twitter X platform at LCJ Reviews. You vote every day for the movie you're looking forward to seeing the most this summer. It's a tournament. whittle it down to the number one choice, which will be voted upon by you later this week. But right now, you can vote for 4 movies coming out in July. Then over the next 2 days, it'll be 4 movies each in the month of August. And then we'll have a semifinal, 2 rounds of that, and then a winner. So, yeah, summer movie poll. Vote for it on Twitter X at LCJ Reviews. Speaking of the summer movie season, it kicks off this week with The Fall Guy, a film that I predicted a while back would try to make a run at a $60 million open. I think that is still a possibility. I think $50 million is a possibility. I think Universal prays it gets more than 40. I even think 30 would be low for them. I think they're praying for 40 million or more for The Fall Guy. 50 would be great, 60 or higher, bam, that would be fantastic for The Fall Guy. Its competition is a horror movie, Tarot. That's not going to make a lot. In theaters as well, Jean Dubarry, as I mentioned, Johnny Depp, French film, directed by Ma Wen, starring her as well. Excellent movie. What they do with narration in that, phenomenal. The emotion to it, the performances, the depth of the story, fantastic. Jean Dubarry, go see it. It opens Thursday. Mars Express, as I mentioned, opens from G Kids. It's an adult film. I'm wondering if G Kids is going to change their name to PG Kids or R Kids or something, because they're doing a lot of adult animated movies now as well as kids movies. And really, let's be honest, animation is not just kids movies fare. But they put out a lot of G and PG rated movies, so they called themselves G Kids, but now they're expanding themselves to more adult animated films, so I do wonder if they will change their name. The Idea of You is a streaming film from Prime with Anne Hathaway. It debuts Thursday. It's gotten a lot of attention for its trailer. Animated film in theaters called Dragon Keeper from Viva Kids opens this week as well. That'll make a little money. And then Unfrosted. It's the new Pop-Tart movie starring and directed by Jerry Seinfeld, and that comes out Friday on Netflix. It's got a star-studded cast. As I mentioned, watch the Bon Jovi docu-series, 4 parts, fantastic. It's on Hulu right now. And tomorrow, new LCJ Q&A podcast episode with my buddy, Critics' Choice Association colleague, member, friend, Jason Black. We do an in-depth 35-minute summer movie preview, what we're looking forward to and what you should be looking out for with the summer movie season. So check that out at lcj.podbean.com tomorrow, as well as across my social media platforms. That's Twitter at LCJ Reviews, Instagram at LightsCamJackson. The website is lights-camera-jackson.com. That's it for today's episode of LCJ Live. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good week. We kick off the summer movie season this week with The Fall Guy, which I hope is a lot of fun. And we'll be back next Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern to see how The Fall Guy does and preview the box office for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Thanks for watching LCJ Live, everybody. Bye-bye.